Dave Ronayne, how are you?
Very good.
Tell us a little bit about the background here, because yours is a family company, so you would, I suppose, learned an awful lot from the generation that went before you.
Correct. I'm second generation. My dad would have founded the company in 1957. He'd have grown it over the 60s and 70s, had his bit of luck. Say when Marathon Oil came in drilling for oil and gas, found the Kinsale gas field, and that spurred on the growth of the company in the 70s.
And of course, we've been through, what, 2 major recessions since then, so like all other companies, it's been up and down, hasn't it?
It has. The 80s were really tough for Mainport, because during the 80s, don't like to really talk about it now because it's a more modern city, but we'd have had very big customers in Fords, Dunlops, the Dockyard, and in the space of 2 years, 3 years, they all closed down, which had an impact obviously on all the people who lost their jobs, but indirectly, say to Mainport, we'd have lost a lot of business over that 3 or 4 year period.
And when you look back at that now, because you were a younger man, you I suppose were starting out in many ways on your own career.
I was a much younger man.
Much
I wasn't in Mainport then, Jonathan.
You weren't in Mainport then?
No.
So you were watching on. So when did you get involved with Mainport then?
I wasn't really watching on. I was playing football and soccer. I was a young fella. I would have went to UCC to do BCom. Like most people, I had no idea what I wanted to do, so I did a BCom. Enjoyed my 4 years there, and then at the end of that, it was at the time, just before the next recession, you were offered a job if you'd done any type of decent degree at all. And I went into, I was then Craig Gardner, and qualified as a chartered accountant there after 4 years.
And did that accountancy, did that stand to you then? Because I suppose accountants are, how can I put this without offending any of them?
Boring?
Yeah. Did it help?
A lot of accountants are not as exciting as other professions, but it's a very good general degree. It just meant as a family business that if you're talking to banks, talking to other customers or talking to your auditors, you understand it better than if I was not an accountant. And it's a very good education.
Tell us about the state of the company now. It is in rare shape.
Mainport is quite good now. We've had a good few years. Unfortunately, our growth at the moment now is constrained by the price of oil. I'm probably the only person that you're talking to would like the price of oil to increase.
Why would you want to, hang on a second, my diesel is reasonable now. Why would you want it to change?
Because our international business is supporting the seismic oil companies. So they're trying to find hydrocarbons on deep water all over the world. They're employed by the oil company, and when the crash came in the oil industry, the first thing they cut was exploration. And a lot of our ships were supporting that activity, so we can't increase our business until that goes around in another cycle. And it will come around. The price of oil always goes around in fluctuations. And
it's very much an international company now. And traditionally, I suppose in your dad's time, it would have been more local based, more Cork based. What was that transition like?
Well, we had to grow because Ireland is only a population of 4.5 million. And I could say to you, we're the biggest offshore supply boat company in Ireland, and you might be impressed, but we one ship in that sector. So therefore we have to expand internationally in something that we know well. So rather than us going off and say buying a hotel or buying an IT company that we know a little about, we need to expand geographically in our core business. So that's what we did in around 2003, and it's been a good journey for us for the last 15 years. A lot of travel, but we can do it all from Cork. It doesn't matter really where we're located for our business. And I remember when Liam Casey from PCH was saying a few years ago, Cork has the advantage on timelines because we'd have ships working in the Far East, we could have ships working in the Gulf of Mexico, and we can contact them all at the same time during the one day.
And that classic conundrum, are you an international company that's based in Cork? Or are you a Cork company that's trading internationally?
Oh, I think we're an international company based in Cork because most of our trade is now international.
And as a Cork man, is that like for all the other companies you mentioned, Liam, and of course we think of Pat Phelan, we think of all the Kileys who've done tremendous work of late. Is Cork finding its feet now that we had traditional businesses, I suppose like Mainport would have been in the 70s and 80s, that were happy being in Cork, but then we realised, well, hang on a second, there's a much bigger world out there that we can use.
I think Cork is in a very exciting phase now. I think what people forget is what we have naturally. You can't necessarily recreate. Now, I know I come from the shipping industry, but you've natural deep water in the port of Cork. You don't get natural deep water in other ports. If you actually think of the west coast of Ireland, beyond Foynes, between Foynes and Belfast, maybe Derry, you don't have natural deep water all the time. So natural deep water is a huge plus. We have a very good airport, we have 2 universities, and what my international colleagues find unusual when they come here, they ask us how long to the airport, how long to the hotel, and everything is 5 minutes. You can't get that in Dublin, you can't get it in London. So our colleagues, when they visit Cork, really like the place, and everything can be done here, everything can be supplied here. And if you can't get it here, you can find it easy. So Cork certainly, I think, can really take off in the next few years.
And where next? I mean, for you, for Mainport?
Well, for Mainport, we need to expand more internationally. And there's a lot of opportunities out there. We're lucky, most of our existing ships are in long-term charters. A lot of our competition have short-term charters, so therefore when they have a ship that's finished a charter, she's surplus, which means no one wants you. So you have to decide, do you sell, do you try to charter at a loss? Whereas thankfully all our ships are in long-term charters.
So things are good for Mainport, things are good for Cork. After a deep, dark recession like we've just had, did you think 5 years ago you'd ever be this positive again, Dave?
Well, I would have been positive 5 years ago.
The only positive man on the island of Ireland.
I think Cork has, I think there's huge ambition now in Cork. It was very exciting when we woke up last week to see the HQ development over in Horgan's Quay. That's fantastic, because you can visually see it. What's happening in Navigation House is going to be exciting. All started from 1 Albert Quay, and I have a connection because we actually owned the warehouse that was in 1 Albert Quay.
You did, and now that you say it, I drove past. I mean, the one thing about it, 1 Albert Quay, was I drove past it every day for years because I lived in Blackrock going, God, I really should do something with that. So
well,
there's a connection to it.
It was sold much earlier,
yeah.
And they decided to leave the name of Mainport on the warehouse door, and various friends of mine were saying, Dave, when are you going to sell it? And it was sold, but the developer decided not to touch it for reasons of the recession for 3 or 4 years.
But the thing is, it's now, that's the catalyst.
Correct.
And then we'll have another catalyst. And
well, that's the key catalyst, and I think that the hero of all this is probably Donald Sullivan of Tyco, now Johnson Controls, because he had the foresight to persuade Tyco to come back to Cork, and once he was the anchor tenant, it allowed the developer then to get other interested parties, and it grew from there, and look what's happening now.
Dave Ronayne, wish you the very best success in the future with Mainport. Thanks for joining us.
Thanks, Jonathan.